you got to realize that whatever you're doing, you're competing with somebody. What is it that gives you an advantage over your competition? Whatever you're good at, try to be great at it. And if you're great at it, good things will happen.
Maverick Podcast.
I'm far from average. That's why I had to come sit down and chop it up with DJ Maverick. They know my name from coast to coast and even in Dallas. I use my talent when I'm faced with a challenge. Gratitude strength is my magnet. Close your eyes and imagine. If you can see it in your mind, then you can have it.
Maverick Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick. Today, we have another special episode. We have the one and only Michael Hurley in the building. Welcome to the podcast.
I appreciate it a lot.
For the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Michael Lee Hurley Jr. I'm 21. I was born and raised North Edmond, Oklahoma. I went to high school in Guthrie. I graduated from there, and I've always had a passion for cars.
Awesome. Let's get into that passion for cars. How did you even get into that? What was like the influence behind that?
The influence behind that was probably my dad and my grandpa racing cars when I was young.
Okay.
And growing up, my dad always was a big car guy, and I was my dad's only son at the time, so I was always there by his side building new cars.
Awesome. What kind of cars was he into?
At first, he was into like off-road vehicles,
Okay.
like Chevy S10s and stuff. And then once I got older, he got into some fast cars, and then motorcycles, and then cars. And now he's older, so now he doesn't really have a thing for cars much.
Wow. So just like anything with the motor in general, it sounds like your dad was into it.
Yeah, anything with motor, he was definitely into it.
Awesome. So what was that like for you? You were just kind of like watching him from the sidelines, or did you like help around whenever he's working on the cars and stuff like that?
I definitely helped.
Yeah.
I helped him a lot, and I got yelled at a lot.
Yeah. Why so?
I was always doing something wrong, but
Okay.
he was always wanting it done his way, and
Yeah.
I was a kid. I didn't know how to do it his way, but I learned.
Sure. But I'm sure that's like some valuable like lessons, some cool memories that came out of there. So
Right,
probably
yeah,
a lot of cool stuff.
I
right?
definitely learned a lot of stuff from growing up with him building cars. Now I use it in my everyday life, stuff that I learned back then.
Okay. Tell me about your first car. What was that?
My first truck that I drove was a 2003 GMC Sierra.
Okay.
That was lifted on like a 6-inch lift in 35s. And I think, I didn't do any lift. My dad bought it and already had the lift on it. And then he had given it to me. And me and my friends did some lighting and some painting and different stuff on it. I actually took out the back seat and took out the whole back seat and built a subwoofer box and put 2 speakers in. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Maybe it was then good and cool at the time, but I don't think it's cool anymore.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with the off-road community, but what's it like here in OKC if you want to go off-roading? Are there some pretty cool spots or what?
Yeah, there's definitely some cool spots. I know Crossbar Ranch and Davis and Peyton. There's a bunch of cool spots out there. I'm not real too deep into that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got into the truck scene, when I was in like 16, first got my first truck, I wanted like the big, nice show trucks with nice, big old chrome wheels. So I never wanted to go off-roading.
Okay.
We were actually running some truck shows through the community in Stillwater and stuff. We'd always put truck shows on during the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And meet with guys that had trucks and cars, and so we never really went off-roading very much at that time.
Got it. And then slowly but surely, it sounds like you gravitated to cars and maybe like the faster side of things, right?
Yeah, once I got older and had the need for speed in me, I thought fast cars and burnouts and stuff like that would sound way cooler than a cool truck driving down the road.
So it sounds like slowly you got into more of the faster cars, right? So tell me a little bit about that transition.
Yeah, I got into the faster cars once I got out of school, like 2 years after high school, after I graduated. I thought fast cars just sound cool, doing burnouts and going fast just sounded too cool to me. It was cooler than driving a big truck down the road. And then I bought a race car. I had a side-by-side, was doing off-roading thing, and bought the race car.
Okay.
And thought that's what I wanted to do for the month I had the car.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. When you reached out to me, you said, hey, I've got this very important message I'd like to share with everybody. So I think, you kick us off with that story and how this journey began.
Okay, so I bought the car, the Mustang, Fox Body Mustang, sometime in July, and I had it. I don't really remember much of the car. I did some let a friend do a burnout in it and took a video.
Was it a stick or automatic?
No, it
or?
was automatic.
Okay.
We took it, me and my buddy took it to a car show and started it, set off all the car alarms, and all the rich kids in Edmond did not like it when they're Audis and stuff.
Just with the exhaust? Like,
yeah, the exhaust just made a bunch of alarms go off.
Man.
And so I had it for about a month, and then August 2nd, I let a guy I know take it out. Me and him took it to Newcastle to see how it was running and how it would do burnout and stuff. And it's because I bought it from his friend in July. So I thought he knew more about it. And we were going down the road, and there was no speedometer in the car. I don't remember anything about the night, really, just from stories and articles and stuff from me hearing. And I guess we had veered off the road at over 100 miles an hour and hit a telephone pole, split the telephone pole in half, and then flipped like 4 times. And I was actually stuck in the vehicle. I had to use the jaws of life to get me out. The driver, supposedly he was ejected. I don't know how, because he went to the hospital with mental injuries. He went to work the next day.
That's incredible.
So I stayed 55 days in the hospital, about a month at OU Medical, and then a month at Bethany Children's.
Yeah. My understanding is at the time you weren't really familiar with the car. You had just got it, and then you weren't even driving, right?
Familiar with it at all. I was. I don't know why I let him drive it. I guess maybe I thought he just knew more because he knew who I bought it from. He was older than me. He's like 3 or 4 years older than me. And I never really have done fast speed stuff. I was always into trucks. I was around cars growing up, but I never went super fast. I never had a race car. So I just thought he knew more, and I don't know what happened the night. I don't know if something broke or if he fell asleep. I don't know what happened the night.
Yeah. Well, I know you said you don't remember what happened, or you just kind of woke up at the hospital, right? So maybe tell me about those initial thoughts once you realized you're at the hospital. What was going through your mind?
So I don't really remember much of the hospital, but I remember a little bit, and knowing that I can remember when I was going through physical therapy and I couldn't walk. I was in a boot. I couldn't put pressure on my butt and stuff. It was hard to sit in places because it hurt. My pelvis was broke. Yeah. And it hurt so bad for me. And I was, for the longest time, I wondered, am I ever going to be able to walk again? Am I going to be a normal 21-year-old guy?
Sure.
And then slowly, once physical therapy and stuff was going on, I was able to do more and more. And every day I get to do more and more every day. So I'm hoping that in the future, I'm going to go back to the physical condition I was in before.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, just hearing you walk me through these steps, it sounds super scary to me. So what was that turning point? What was the motivation to keep you dedicated doing the physical therapy and saying, hey, I'm going to get over this?
Knowing that I probably should have died that night, and I walked out of it alive with no... I had some serious injuries. I had a brain injury. I broke ribs, fractured my neck, back. I had some internal bleeding, broke my pelvis, my femur, my ankle. Knowing that I broke all those things, I should have never walked again. And there's people that don't ever walk again from those things. So knowing that I'm going to be able to walk, the doctor was telling me I'm going to walk again, that was my motivation, that I'm going to walk again, and there's people that don't walk away from things like that.
Right, because you're facing all this physical troubles, but then you've also got the mental challenge to overcome all this, right? So tell me about that, like the mental challenge, what was going through your head? How do you get over that part?
That was hard to get over. It took me, I did some PTSD therapy stuff for a few weeks, but I got tired of it and quit going. But knowing in my mind is, if I control what's going on in my mind, it's going to be way easier than letting my mind control me.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing. I was letting my mind control me. The thoughts in my head of one night, I wanted to kill myself. Something in my head was just telling me to go kill myself. I was walking out the door, and my phone rang, and it was my dad, and he talked to me through it. He didn't know what was going on. He just was talking like a normal person, normal conversation that day, and it distracted me completely.
Tell me about that support system. What did it mean to you? How did it help you?
So the support system meant a lot because before my car, I got a lot of friends, a lot of cousins that were always hanging out with me. And then once I got in the car wreck, those people quit hanging out with me because I didn't have the money, and I couldn't walk like I could before. There's things I couldn't do, you know. And so having my dad around, my grandma around, just different people that were around for a little bit, It was definitely nice because it was an escape from what was going on. I didn't have to worry about, oh, I can't walk. It hurts to sit down. So hanging out with people distracted me from all those things. It was really nice to have people to hang around, a support system to be able to call whenever I want.
Yeah, and you were at the hospital for how many weeks, did you say?
I was there for 55 days.
Wow, okay. So how did you stay busy? Did you start listening to podcasts? Did you start reading? Like, what else were you doing at the time?
So once I got home, like I said, I was doing physical therapy and doctor's appointments all the time. But for 16 months, I didn't have a job. I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
The doctors didn't want me driving because my ankle wasn't bending enough, or the brain injury I had, they were worried about it. I had to do a driving simulator to see if I knew how to drive. And luckily I passed it. But during those times, when I was just sitting at home bored, I would just really scroll through my phone, listen to podcasts. I never liked reading books.
Really?
All through school, I never liked reading books. But I had all this downtime, and everyone was like, this downtime you have, you should take it to do personal stuff like read books. So I reached out to a buddy of mine, and he sent me some books. And so I started reading books and listening to podcasts. And then I started volunteering at his shop, Raw Concepts in Edmond.
Okay, shout out to them.
And he let me go up there once a week. And he was putting different stuff in my mind, showing me these books to read, and just opened my mind up to a lot of new things that I can do instead of laying in bed every day during the time I couldn't do anything. I could go outside and I could walk, or try to walk at least.
Sure.
Just do any physical things I could and just better myself during those times.
Yeah. Would you say that after the accident happened, you were making progress? Were you sort of like challenging yourself and say, hey, if I get a second chance here, I'm going to change the way I live. Maybe I'm going to like dedicate myself to doing some other new things that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, it definitely opened my mind up to a lot of things, knowing that I should have died and the second chance at life. A lot of people don't have a second chance at life, and I was grateful enough to get one. And so I knew I'm going to do something big. I don't know what it is yet. I'll find it one day. But like donating toys to the children's hospital or helping people when I can is my biggest goal right now.
Yeah, it's funny because you were telling me you were already kind of doing a toy drive before the accident. And then now it seems like even like doing some more charity, stuff like that, it's going to be even more meaningful for you, right?
Definitely is. So when I was in high school in like 10th grade, me and a buddy of mine in high school did a car show for Toys for Tots for 2 years. I got out of school and I quit doing it. For like 2 years, I got distracted with girls. And then I got in this car wreck in the hospital that I was at, Bethany Children's in Bethany. They do a toy drive during Christmas, where they did it last year, and I knew that hospital means so much to me.
Yeah.
And a toy drive sounded great. I didn't do a toy drive 2 years before that, or I did a toy drive 2 years before that, and I knew I wanted to do something again, especially for the hospital that helped me walk again. If it wasn't for the people at the hospital, I probably wouldn't be alive right now. And so I seen a Facebook post. They were doing a toy drive there. And so I made a little Facebook post to my family and friends and got some donations. My dad donated some money and some friends donated some toys. And so I went and bought some toys during Christmas time.
Yeah.
And then I went up there and I took some pictures with the nurses I had actually and gave them a cart of toys. And so this year, now that I have a job and a car and stuff, I plan on doing on a way bigger scale, maybe at least double the toys what I did last year. But I definitely want to do it again and do it something bigger than I did last year.
Yeah, that's incredible. I just want to commend you for sharing that story because I'm sure, walking through those steps, talking about it again, it's not a fun thing, right? So thank you for sharing that. I think it's super important that you're doing this. And then maybe for the kids or the viewers out there, not even kids, maybe just viewers out there, what would be some of the safety lessons?
Definitely wear your seatbelt in the car. They make seatbelts for a reason.
Yeah.
They don't just put them in there for some extra money or something. If I wouldn't have had my seatbelt on, I probably would have been ejected out of the car. I actually have a scar on my stomach from the seatbelt that saved me.
Jeez.
So wearing your seatbelt, not drinking and driving, not playing on your phone while driving is a big thing. There's a lot of people that thinks not wearing your seatbelt's just whatever.
Right.
But then when you get in the position where oh man, you need a seatbelt. Like me, if I wouldn't have had a seatbelt on, it would have been bad.
Yeah.
But I had a seatbelt on, so it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. So I think everyone needs to be aware about texting while driving and wearing their seatbelt, drinking while driving, just all those different things.
Yeah, 1,000%, especially when it comes to race cars. So I know a lot of the guys, when they get into racing, they want to strip everything out of the car, right, for weight savings.
I think I only had 2 seats and a steering wheel and the dash. But
Like
it had,
racing seats or still the
No,
stock?
racing seats.
Racing seats?
So I didn't have any carpet in it. It didn't have the headliner.
Yeah.
It was just bare metal or
Jeez.
aluminum, whatever it was. And so actually where my right foot was, the firewall got destroyed from hitting the telephone pole and flipping or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's ripped open, and you could see through where my foot was through the firewall.
What were some of the maybe unexpected lessons that you kind of learned from this whole experience?
Some unexpected lessons were my health. Not paying attention to my health was a big thing. Drinking water was a big thing for me. I never drank water until this accident. And then
Really? Were
Doctor,
you like a Red Bull energy guy? Or what
so
were you?
actually I was driving a truck right before that across the United States. I went to like 48 states before my car wreck,
Okay.
delivering exotic cars for Exotic Motorsports of Oklahoma.
Okay.
And so I drank a bunch of Red Bull trying to make it on time to places.
Yeah.
And I think the most I drank was like bunch of energy drinks. I never really drank anything else besides energy drinks. And then I got the brain injury. And they're like, oh, you can't drink energy drinks and you can't do nicotine. You can't do this because it's going to slow you down.
Yeah.
So I started drinking water. And the doctor said drinking water is going to help my bones heal instead of energy drinks and pop. So I started drinking water, and that helped me a lot. I drink water every day now.
The physical therapy, was there any point where it was kind of uncertain and you weren't seeing any progress, or were you always kind of seeing little progress little by little?
I never seen any progress. So I was doing physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. The speech and occupational therapy for my memory, because I had really bad memory when I was in the hospital. I thought I was in like 8th grade dating a girl across the street. I kept asking about her. Is what my dad was saying. I don't remember that. So I was doing those therapies, and the therapist, occupational and speech therapist, would ask these memory questions, and then she would ask me to repeat those things back to her, and I couldn't remember. And it was so frustrating, but I knew every time I go, it's going to get better and better.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to give up, which I couldn't give up. My parents weren't going to let me give up, or my aunt. And so I knew it was slowly progressing. I just didn't see it, like my physical limitations. Well, actually, when I was doing physical therapy, my ankle, I definitely seen a difference. I could balance on my right leg that's broke.
I bet you were like, oh my God, here we go, right?
Yeah, so when I started balancing on that and started being able to walk upstairs without holding onto the rails, it was super cool to me. And then I had the second ankle surgery last year sometime, and it doesn't bend as much now. I can't walk upstairs sometimes without holding on rails, but I'm slowly getting into be able to walk on stairs without holding a rail. And that, to me, I smile every time I do it, because I couldn't do that so long ago. And my memory's gotten better from thinking I was dating a girl across the street in 8th grade to being a 21-year-old guy again. It's really cool to me. And so knowing that my memory's gotten better, my physical limitations have gotten better, it means a lot to me.
Yeah. So what would be your advice if someone's going through physical therapy, maybe they're struggling, what advice would you give to them?
To never give up. That's my biggest, that's what I live by actually, is never give up. The guy, Reed, that owns Raw Concepts, he came out with a shirt that says never have a bad day on it. And so I live by the never have a bad day and never give up every day. Because I know if I would have given up, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now, or wouldn't have a job or a car or a girlfriend. And just knowing I would never, if I would have given up, then I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today.
As far as your life's perspective, because of this, what has changed?
What has changed for me is knowing that there's multiple millions and trillions of people in the world, that we're all on the same, everyone's on a different mission in life. But there's people that come from rough areas of town and good areas of town. So I think everyone needs to just come together and make the best out of life, help who we can. Actually, I helped a guy today at work that he rides a bike. He was riding a bike, or he rides a bike to work every day.
Yeah.
I felt bad because knowing so right before I got my job, 16 months after my accident, I didn't have a car. And so Reed at Raw Concepts, he had given me a bike, and I was going to ride it to work every day. That was fine with me because I knew that's what I had to do.
How long are we talking? Are we talking miles that you would have to ride it?
No,
or?
it's not miles. It's
Okay.
right behind my house.
Okay,
like
so it's
0.
doable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I walk there sometimes, actually.
Okay.
But I didn't think I was going to have a car, so I asked for a bike. He gave me a bike that he's had since he was like in high school or something. And my dad, he moved back from Arizona, and he bought 2 vehicles, and he let me have one. And so I got to ride a bike, or I get to drive a car now to work. But the guy that came into work today, his bike was messed up. There was a screw coming out of or something.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really know what he was doing. He may have known what he was doing, but he didn't fully understand it. And he was older than me, so it was cool being able to go out there and show him, hey, man, let me help you out real quick.
Yeah.
So I was able to help him, and I gave him some screws and some glue or something, and he was going to come in and pay for them. I just said, you can have them. Don't worry about it. I know how it feels to have to ride a bike to work. And he was riding his bike like 6 miles or something, or he is riding his bike like 6 miles.
Especially right now, we're like over 100 degrees. I can't imagine. Jeez.
Yeah, so he's riding his bike in the heat. So helping people has meant so much to me because I had help when I was going through my accident. And that has opened my eyes up to so many things, that there's people that just need help. There's people that just need a friend to talk to. There was nights that I thought all these things through my head. And if I just had a friend or someone that reached out and talked to me randomly, it would meant so much to me.
I'm hearing you talk about all this. Sure, you loved the cars in the past, but now, I don't know. I don't know if you still love them. You tell me.
No, I definitely love cars.
Yeah.
I like watching the racing stuff. It gives me PTSD every time I see it. But I love it. I love a fast car. I want like a Ferrari or something to go fast in. But like sometimes I'll be going down the highway and I'm like, man, I just want to punch the gas. But at the same time, I know it's probably not the best thing to do. So it hasn't changed my mind at all about cars. It's just made my passion better, actually. I want to do something in the community or in the world with cars and helping people's lives. I don't know how I'm going to organize that exactly, but I want to do something with cars and helping people's lives.
Yeah, I love that, because the cars are a great gateway if you're trying to attract kids or help them or whatever, right? Like they're going to be attracted to the cars, and then you can help them that way, right? Maybe take their mind off of things if they're struggling with stuff, right?
Right, yeah, there's a group called Red Line for Kids, but they take exotic cars to hospitals and let the kids sit in them and different stuff.
Yeah,
and
probably like rev them or something.
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's really neat that they do that. So I'm hoping, I don't know, like I said, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I want to do something with cars and to help people's lives, or kids in the hospital that don't know what they're doing or don't know what's going on. I hope to do something with cars that help them. Thought about trying to put car shows on. Recently, I've started having the thoughts of trying to put car meets on, truck meets on.
That would be cool.
Maybe I really want to do a car show. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I want to do a car show, and then I want to donate the money to Bethany Children's.
Okay.
I need to organize it. I don't know how I'm going to organize it, but that's what I want to do, is something with cars to help the community.
Are you an avid visitor of like Cars and Coffee or other car shows here around the city?
Yeah, I go to Cars and Coffee, the first Saturday of every month, I think. I was there last Saturday.
Yeah.
And it gets bigger and bigger every time. Like last Saturday, I think it was probably the biggest one I've ever been to.
Yeah, because they used to be at Top Golf, and I think recently they went over to like Remington Park or something like that, right?
Yeah, so when it first started, I remember being at a little bitty mall down in the city.
Okay.
It wasn't very big. It was still big, but it wasn't very big, and it's moved to different places. Now it's at Remington Park, and I swear every time I go, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger every single time.
Yeah. My understanding is you kind of like the American muscle, right? That's kind of what you're into, or what?
Yeah, 67 or 69 Chevy Camaro is probably my dream car.
Okay.
Or a Shelby Super Snake.
Okay. Would you want to do that as a build? Like maybe you were telling me maybe with your dad, your brother, you guys work on it together? Or would you just want to already purchase it ready to go? You just want to enjoy it?
No, I definitely want to. I think it'd be cool to build something with my little brother and my dad to cherish forever. My dad, I don't really know what my dad's into right now. We built an S10 in high school, me and my brother and my little dad. We never drove it. We just put like some axles under it and lifted it up.
Yeah.
But I would like to do something like that again, because growing up, it was just me, my dad, and my little sister. My mom wasn't around at the time, and I didn't have a stepmom or other little siblings. And so I helped my dad build a lot of trucks in school. And while I was growing up, we built a bunch of mud trucks. And then once I got older, I want to say sometime in middle school, he had bought an S10, Chevy S10.
Okay.
And we took the motor out of it and put like a 400 small block Chevy in it.
Oh,
and
wow. In an S10?
Yeah, and it was pretty
Jeez.
neat. I want to have an S10 one day. It's not the coolest thing, but that's what my dad grew up around, was S10s. So actually in my grandma's house, there's a picture on the wall up the stairs of my dad and my grandpa that they were at Thunder Valley racing. It's like an old 80s model yellow S10.
Yeah.
And they raced it, and so I just love the passion of cars through my dad and my grandpa, probably.
Yeah, I remember the rise of the S10. I think they had like a racing package. I want to say it was called like the Typhoon or something like that. And I don't know if it was just like a, body kit, or if there was like really like performance out of it or not. I don't know if you...
Right. Yeah, I don't know anything about the
No,
Typhoon.
I think that's what it was called.
It
Maybe
sounds
not.
cool if that's what it's called, but
Yeah.
I don't know anything
But
about it.
some of these brands, they like, hey, this is our sporty model, but sometimes it's just like a body kit or something like that, and it still has like a,
Right.
original engine or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know much about that one at all.
Yeah. So tell me, it sounds like you have this dream build, right? If you were to get that dream build, like what would you want to do with it? Just kind of cruise with your family, enjoy it that way, or what would you want to do?
So I want a fast car again. I probably shouldn't get a fast car because
Yeah.
it may end up me hitting a telephone pole again.
Don't say that.
But I think it would be cool to have a fast car to just cruise around town and do mile-long burnouts if I wanted to, and
Yeah.
make little kids smile. So I hope one of these days that I can have a car with a big cam and some big tires that all the kids look at, and I can rev it up or do something and make little kids smile. So that's my dream, is to one day have a build that's fast and loud, but to just cruise around.
Yeah. Would you say that maybe there's a barrier, like maybe kids go, street racing because it's harder to go to some of these racetracks? Maybe there's not any nearby. I don't know. You tell me, where are the racetracks around here?
So I haven't been, since my car wreck, I haven't been in the street racing scene. I don't really pay attention to it. I know there's Thunder Valley Raceway Park. I think it's in Noble, and then there's Tulsa.
Okay.
They're both about an hour to 2 hours away from here.
Is it pretty pricey if you want to just take your car and just kind of see what it runs or whatever?
I think you can go on Friday nights for like $20 or something and run your
it's
car.
not too bad.
Yeah, so I haven't, like I said, I haven't paid much of the racetrack scene since I was a kid, going with my dad and my grandpa. But I know a lot of kids, or a lot of people right now, are like street racing stuff.
Yeah.
The Street Kart Takeover comes to Oklahoma City in May, I think.
What is that exactly?
I think it's a group that goes to different states, and they put a big car show on. They do it at Twin Peaks off of I-40.
Oh, okay.
And it's a huge thing for all the street car guys.
Like classic cars, or what are we talking about?
No, it's like street car things, like
Okay.
1,000 horsepower Corvettes and
Oh, wow.
Cadillacs, and there's some lifted trucks there and different things. So that's really cool. I like to go to that every year. I try to go every year with my cousin and her husband. We went last year, and it was pretty neat. I didn't think I was going to like it as much now going through the car accident I went through, because I was in a race car.
Yeah.
But the car passion's still there, and I love it.
Yeah. I want to thank you for, mentioning all the safety awareness, and also there's balance, right? You can have your passion for cars, but just be, a little bit more safety, focused.
Yeah, safety is definitely a big thing. That's why when you go to, I know a lot of racetracks, you have to have roll cages in your car if you go a certain speed, and you have to wear a helmet and all that.
Yeah.
A seatbelt is definitely a big thing. Like I said, they make seatbelts for a reason. So safety's my number one priority since then. I always make sure that I'm safe. There's a lot of people that get in car wrecks and don't make it because they're playing on their phones or they're not wearing a seatbelt. And if they were wearing their seatbelt, they may have made it.
Yeah. I'm also a DJ outside of the podcast, so I always ask my guests, if I pull up your playlist, who am I going to find in your playlist? So maybe tell me like your top 5.
My top 5 right now are probably Zach Bryan,
Okay.
Old 60, Cardi B, Sexy Red, and the Andy Frisella podcast.
Nice. I like the diversity.
Yeah.
Growing up, were you exposed to a lot of music? Was music a big part of your life or no?
Yeah, so growing up, there was different stages of my life. Like I think everyone growing up goes through different stages of life, especially when
Sure.
they're little. So at one point in my life, I was super country, super redneck, I was into skateboarding, I was super ghetto, and all these different things. Growing up, my dad listened to old rap and old country. He listens to some old country, though, like
okay.
70s country. I've never really gotten
Like
into
Johnny Cash or something
yeah,
like that? Or?
Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, different stuff like that. So I never
Okay.
really got into that. So right now, like I said, I'm just really into whatever is good for me.
Yeah.
That I enjoy. That's what I like.
Very cool. So what's your motivation? Present day, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you positive?
Right now, what keeps me motivated is to know that I was probably not supposed to live. I mean, I think I was meant to be saved for a purpose. I don't know what the purpose is, but I believe that there's a purpose out there, even if some people don't believe in higher gods and this and that.
Yeah.
Like right now, I've been going through a lot of emotions, not knowing what's real and what's not real, because I want to believe in what's the right thing to believe in. So a higher God is the biggest thing for me, is finding who that is. Me finding my purpose has been a huge thing the last 2 years. Last Friday was 2 years since my car wreck.
Okay.
I'm still trying to find what my purpose is, but I think helping people through different things and taking toys to kids at the hospital is maybe what was saved for.
So it sounds like you go to a lot of car shows. So tell me, somebody that's never been to a car show, what is it like? Walk me through that day. What's some cool stuff that comes out of that?
So there's definitely different car shows. Like Coffee and Cars is a mixture of every car. There's lifted trucks, there's fast cars, there's exotic cars. There's cars ranging from $1,000 to a few $100,000. So right now it's a real cool thing to go to. I think that a lot of kids need to get into it, because I think it's cool. Coffee and Cars, you go, there's a bunch of different cars. There's not just classic cars or exotic cars. There's a little bit of everything. So no matter what you like, you're going to find it there. And so going to the car show, it's cool to see different cars and meet different people, maybe meet someone with the same passion as you. And then watching the cars leave, which there's cops around, so they can't do anything too crazy.
Right.
When they first started Coffee and Cars, there was people doing some crazy, like burnout stuff down there. That's what I like.
I mean, just listening to the exhaust, right, and the downshifts and stuff like that. That's addicting, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. And turbo noises. I love turbo noises.
You like the wind-ups?
Yeah, my little brother, he's into like Japanese, or I forgot what they call them, JDM cars.
Oh, okay.
So he likes, I call them racers or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So he's in a little different era than I'm in, but I'm also not a 12-year-old or 11-year-old boy.
Right.
And so the car show scene's cool, because when I go to Coffee and Cars, take my little brother, I can go look at my classic cars, and he can go look at the Hondas he likes.
Yeah. So there's a little bit for everybody there.
There's definitely a little bit for everybody there. Like last time I was there, they had a bunch of Jeeps and some off-road stuff. So now the off-road scene's starting to get into the car show scene a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so it's cool being able to go there and, like I said, see anything you want to see.
Yeah.
Sometimes I haven't seen it, but there's a Bugatti running around town.
Okay.
I want to see it. I've seen pictures of it, but like I said, there's the Bugatti's been at the Coffee and Cars before, and then there's Jeeps. Sometimes there's like scooters or wagons you pull kids in.
Oh, okay.
Custom made. So there's a bunch of different stuff there.
Very cool. When I hear somebody talk about turbo and the whining, the first car that pops into my mind is the Hellcat. What do you think about the new Hellcat?
The Hellcats are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I definitely want to, what is it? I don't know what it is, the Scat Pack or whatever.
Yeah, so there's like Scat Pack, Hellcat, and then there's like a Demon, right? I think that's the way it goes.
Yes,
There's
something
different
like that. Like I said, I don't pay attention.
I'm not a Dodge guy, but I've definitely heard of the different packages.
My little brother pays attention to that. My little brother likes the guys that do donuts on the highways and the parking lots and stuff. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
I used to be. I used to like watching it. Like I like burnouts and donuts and loud voices or sounds.
Sure.
And so my brother's in that. He wants I think right now he wants a Honda to go do donuts in. I don't know why.
Cool. So the kids are still into like Hondas and JDM stuff.
Yeah, like the kids are still getting into Hondas, and I don't know about more of the classic stuff. Like when I was growing up, I was into classic cars. So I don't know if they're getting into the classic car scene or if it's going to like Hondas and lowered cars and stuff like that. I don't really know much about that.
I would say more often than not, when I ask a little kid, "Hey, what's your dream car?" Oftentimes they say Tesla. That's like seems to be pretty popular nowadays.
Teslas, so I think they're cool. The Cybertrucks, I think, are actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
They have. I was seeing one at Coffee and Cars a few months ago, and he was showing me the different plugins, and it has like 16 USB ports in it.
Wow.
And then it has a plug-in you can plug like a welder in. And that was so crazy to me, that to know that you can just plug a welder in to your car and then just start welding something on the job site.
Supposedly the new F-150, the Lightning, I think is called, the electric one, you can plug in your whole house, like if you run out of power, and they can like generate power for your whole house. I don't know if I believe it or not, but that's what they're saying.
Yeah, that would be pretty wicked. I would like to see that, though, if it can really power up the whole house. That'd
come
be
in
pretty
handy,
cool.
right?
Yeah, it would definitely come in handy.
Yeah. I want to give you the stage before we sign off. You want to give any shout outs to anybody that helped you along the way? Maybe somebody at the hospital or family members, friends? You tell me.
My dad, my grandma I live with. I moved in with her as soon as I came to the hospital. My aunt was there the whole time I was in the hospital. My aunt, so her name's Carolyn, so it's my Aunt Carolyn. And my dad always likes to make fun of her because she would always yell, or she's really loud.
Yeah.
So she would always be saying something, and I would always be like, "What, Aunt? What?" And so my aunt was a big supporter. My mom, my siblings, all my parents, really.
Yeah.
My dad, like I said, he moved to Arizona a week before my car accident, I think.
Okay.
And he got the call from Newcastle Police Department or something.
Wow.
Asking who I was to identify me.
Yeah.
And being named after my dad, I'm Michael Jr., he's Michael Sr., and I know that was sad for him, not knowing. I remember my stepmom telling me that they were waiting the whole night for a call to know if I was going to live or not. So I really shout out to my dad, because he's always been my biggest supporter.
Yeah.
And he's always who I've looked up to. My dad, my Aunt Carolyn, my mom, my siblings, my grandma, my stepmom were there for me, family-wise, all the time. If I needed someone to text, a few of my cousins, I don't talk to them now. And then Reed from Raw Concepts and Nick Talley from Talley Customs Window Tint in Edmond, they were letting me volunteer there because I couldn't have a job. The doctor said I could volunteer.
Yeah.
And so I texted Reed one day, because I knew him from the truck scene when they used to do the Thursday night mega meets. And I texted him because I knew he had a shop in Edmond, and asked him if I could volunteer. And so I did like a day a week, one day every week for a few times. And then he gave me a paycheck, and it was like $20 an hour, and I didn't expect it. I was like,
That's
wow,
very cool.
that
And
is
you,
so
and you
cool.
still weren't like 100%, but you wanted to volunteer. You wanted to start doing stuff, or what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was tired of sitting at home with my 60-year-old grandma.
Sure.
And not being able to hang out or do anything. So shout out to Reed and Nick. And then Elliot from Exotic Motorsports.
Yeah. Shout out to him.
He had a bunch of different religious stuff going through my mind. Who's God, who's that. And so he was able to push or talk with me about going to church. I went to church a few times.
Yeah.
He actually donated to my toy drive for Bethany Children's last year. And then the 34 Project, they're behind Bethany Health, what is it? Bethany Children's Health Center.
Okay. Yeah.
And so shout out to the 34 Project, because they help people that are in wheelchairs now. And I'm not in the position they're in at all, but I didn't know what to do when I'm in a wheelchair laying in bed.
Sure.
So I would message in. There's one night, like 1 or 3 o'clock in the morning, a text message, because I just think all the time when I wake up or when I go to sleep, I'm thinking about, why am I in this position? How do I get out of this position? How do I better myself? So I messaged him one night asking, how do I get over this? And they text me. So shout out to 34 Project, Elliot at Exotic Motorsports, and then Nick at Talley Customs, and Reed at Raw Concepts.
Awesome. I love that. It sounds like you have a great support system. So I want to thank you once again for sharing this story. I know it's not easy. And, I have some difficult questions that I asked you. It's probably not the funnest conversation, but I'm super excited that we're sitting across from each other right now. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. I hope that my story helps some other people in their lives. Like, they can call me. I have social media. They can message me on social media. I'm a toy drive that I'll be doing next year for Bethany Children's, so they can message me if they would like to donate some toys or do something cool. Like I said, toys, they would like to help the toy drive next year, that would be cool. Or if they just need someone to talk to, because they were going through the same things. I would love to help people.
Yeah, or also if they have a cool car or they're into cars, it sounds like you're still going to keep that passion for cars alive, so maybe they get involved that way too, right?
Yeah, I'd love to get more involved in the car scene, not race car scene, but the car scene somehow.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I don't know if you want to plug in your social media. Do you have public-facing social media you can share?
My Facebook's Michael Hurley Jr.
Okay.
And then I think my Instagram's like Michael Lee Hurley with 2 Y's or something.
Perfect.
And then my TikTok's Michael Hurley.
Okay.
Everything's about Michael Hurley. Besides my Facebook, it's Michael Hurley Jr.
Okay, awesome. Well, I want to thank you for your time.
I appreciate it.
Enjoying the
Thank you.
conversation. There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the super talented Michael Hurley Jr. right here on the Maverick Podcast. In dreams, we trust.